I think it's a wonderful event. I think fencing is a complicated sport to watch. It's very fast, so it's hard to follow. The movements are sometimes very small and quick. And this is an event where people actually learn about fencing. It's not that you have a big ball that flies through the gym. Here people are educated how to watch it, what's important about fencing, and I think this is very important to get support for the sport. Well, I think there are some basic things that you need to know: who scores a touch and what light goes on if that person scores. Right. But there's also a lot of strategy involved and a lot of tactics involved. So having some exposure and some idea, just like in any sport, it's important to really understand the sport. And this is why an event like this, I think, is so helpful.
Pleasure being here at Wayne State, fencing with the Wayne State fencing team. They had 13 times NCAA champions, I think more than other schools I've ever heard of. So being here, being one of the team, trying to keep that success, it's a big deal.
I think it's an amazing sport because again, it makes you stronger, faster, more flexible, good coordination, and accept all those physical abilities. It is a mind game. It gives you strong mind, strong character. You know, being somewhere psychologist also on the street. So I think, and on top of that, if you do all right, it's not that much injuries in the sport also. So.
I think the closest sport is probably boxing.
Okay.
Because you're interacting with your opponent, you're trying to figure out what your opponent is thinking and then trap him into tricks and try to play around with that. You have one opponent and you have to know what this person is thinking and you have to react to it. And you have to try to put your opponent into a vulnerable position where you can actually score a touch.
A lot of people think fencing is an easy sport, that two people are like poking each other and they look at it, it's like, oh, it's not, like it's fun, but it's not a hard sport. I think on the other side, fencing is a really tough sport. It needs a lot of footwork, you have to do a lot of physicals, a lot of cardio. You need a lot of it's a mental game too. It's physical and mental at the same time.
Well, I come from a big fencing town in Germany, and fencing has been a really big sport, has been a dominating sport in this town. And for some reason, I just got interested in it. My parents didn't push me towards it. I've had some exposure, and I became interested, participated, and well, I played the flute. And I didn't like my flute teacher, and then I needed something else to do, and fencing was the sport. And once you're a competitive athlete, there's not much time for other sports. There were tournaments on the weekend, there were practices after school, so that was my main sport.
Well, I'm not from a huge town in Israel, and there was not much choices, and I tried doing different sports. Basketball, the height probably stopped me, but I liked soccer, but I'm not coming from a very super wealthy family, so my parents couldn't afford soccer. And my actually gym teacher in school was a fencing coach, so he was trying to bring athletic kids to the sport. And it was amazing. I was nervous, excited, a bunch of emotions. It was also nice to go back after 4 or 5 years to be back in Detroit. So, very positive emotions.
I think it was a very not only a nice event. I think it was a very nice time after 10 years being an active fencer at Wayne State, being able to come back, still seeing the same people and being able to reflect what a positive experience this was, how successful fencing was at Wayne State, and it still is. And then also seeing what happened since and how important fencing and being at Wayne State was to my own career and to the course of my life ever since.